She was the nerd girl, constantly bullied and brutally rejected by the most popular guy in school. But on prom night, she arrived with a total transformation that left the entire school stunned. Suddenly, the girl they ignored had emerged like a butterfly, and every guy was lining up to dance with her. Owen Miller closed his locker door, his heart still pounding. He'd done it. Willow had said yes. As he walked out of the library, he let out a sigh of relief. But the breath also carried a small pang of guilt. My date, she bailed. He told Willow. Said she has the flu. It was a lie. The truth was, there was no date with the flu. There was never another date at all. Owen hadn't even been planning on going to prom. To him, the dance was a ridiculous, pretentious event. He had lied to her, and he hated doing it, especially to Willow, who was probably the single most genuine person he knew at this school. But the lie was the only way. If he had come in and said, "Hey Willow, I know you're heartbroken and everyone is being awful to you, but will you go to prom with me?" He knew she would have instantly refused. Willow would have thought it was charity, a humiliating act of pity. She would have thought Owen just felt sorry for her. No, Owen needed a reason where Willow was the one helping him. By giving her the story about a sick date, he gave Willow an out that kept her dignity intact. Owen walked across the parking lot, thinking back on why he was doing this. He had been watching Willow for a long time. He noticed the things no one else did. He remembered seeing Willow in the hallway after Mason had deliberately bumped her, sending her books flying. After everyone else had left, and Willow had finished gathering her things, an old janitor accidentally dropped his supply cart. Cleaning bottles clattered everywhere. Willow, still holding back tears from her own humiliation, was the only person who stopped and knelt to help him clean up the mess. Owen saw it from the end of the hall, and that was when he started to fall in love with her kindness. He had been in English class that day, too. He saw Sasha snatch the notebook. He heard Mason's laugh. He saw Willow's deathly pale face. And worst of all, he had accidentally overheard the confrontation by the lockers a few days ago. He'd been in the chemistry lab, the door slightly ajar, and he heard Mason's cold voice. "Look at me and then look at you. You're not worthy." Owen had to physically restrain himself from walking out and punching Mason in his perfect face. Since then, Owen had watched Willow fade. The girl who used to at least have a small spark in her eyes had become a ghost. She was hiding. She had given up. Owen couldn't stand watching it. He couldn't stand letting Mason win. But more importantly, he couldn't stand letting Willow believe that Mason was right. So yes, he had lied. He created an imaginary girl with the flu. It was a small lie for a much bigger truth. He wasn't just looking for a random date. He didn't need someone to go with. He had only asked Willow, and he only wanted to go with Willow. Tonight, he didn't care what Mason or Sasha had to say. He had only one mission: to show Willow Kent that she was worthy of being seen. Owen walked home from school, his heart still pounding. He couldn't believe he'd actually done it. He had successfully asked Willow Kent to prom, and she had agreed. A warm, pure feeling of happiness spread through his chest, making it hard to stop smiling. For him, going to prom with Willow wasn't an act of charity. It was a personal victory. Owen's admiration for Willow hadn't started with a bang. It had started as a whisper built from small observations over the past year. He sat behind her in chemistry class and across from her in the library. He had a front row seat to who Willow really was when no one was watching. He saw Willow patiently explain a complex formula to another struggling student, without making them feel stupid. He saw her be the only person to thank the school bus driver. He saw her cry silently when her notebook was humiliated, but still come to school the next day with her head held high, even though she was clearly terrified. Willow had a genuine kindness, the kind that had long gone extinct in the halls of Northwood High. And the longer Owen watched her from afar, the more he realized something that fools like Mason missed. Willow was beautiful. Sure, she wasn't good at picking outfits. Her sweaters were always oversized and in drab colors. Her ponytail was too tight, and her large glasses covered half her face. She was actively trying to be unseen. But Owen saw what was underneath. He saw her delicate bone structure. He saw the way her nose crinkled slightly when she was confused. He saw her full lips, which she often chewed on when she was nervous. Owen was in love with both. He was in love with Willow's kind heart, with her hidden courage. And yes, he was also in love with her appearance, with her intelligent green eyes behind those glasses, and with the rare, shy smile that appeared when she thought no one was looking. To him, Willow was a work of art hidden behind the wrong frame. And now, the happy feeling of being Willow's date to prom was incredible. This wasn't about popularity. This was about spending one evening with the only person in school he truly admired. Of course, there was a problem. A big one. Their names were Mason and Sasha. Owen knew exactly what would happen. The gym hall would be a war zone for Willow. The moment they saw her, the mocking would start. Owen wasn't going to let that happen. Tonight had to be perfect for Willow. A night where she finally realized how much she was worth. Owen started to plan. He couldn't stop Mason from talking, but he could change the battlefield. He knew the gym hall would be the danger zone. But he remembered Mr. Harrison mentioning that the indoor garden, the atrium, next to the gym would be open for students who wanted fresh air. That was his plan. He would dance one dance with Willow in the main hall, just enough to show everyone she was there and he was proud. But after that, he would take her to the garden. It would be quieter there, safer. They could still hear the muffled dance music from the gym, but they would be far away from the cruel stares of Mason and Sasha. He didn't need to be prom king, he just needed to be the guy who finally gave Willow the night she deserved. Prom night arrived faster than Willow expected. Ever since she agreed to go with Owen, her house had transformed into Operation Cinderella headquarters. Her mother dug through the wardrobe, finding an old dress of hers, a simple navy blue velvet dress that, to their surprise, fit Willow perfectly.
"See,"
her mother said, her eyes getting misty.
"I told you so."
Her aunt, who worked as a makeup artist, came over with a large, glittering suitcase.
"We're not going to change you, honey.
Her aunt said firmly.
We're just dusting you off so they can see what a gem you are."
Willow sat in front of the mirror, resigned. She let her aunt work. Her thick glasses were replaced by contact lenses, which made her eyes feel strange, but the world looked clearer. Her hair, usually pulled back tightly, was now down and styled in soft waves that framed her face. When she finally looked in the mirror, she held her breath. The girl in the mirror was her. But not. Her eyes looked bigger and greener without the glasses. Her jawline, always hidden, was now defined. The dress accentuated the figure she had always hidden beneath oversized sweaters. She was beautiful. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. Willow's heart felt like it leapt into her throat.
"That must be Owen,"
her mother exclaimed, hurrying to the door. Willow stood at the top of the stairs, her hands shaking. This was it. Owen stood in the doorway, looking awkward but handsome in a rented tuxedo. He was holding a small white lily corsage in his hand. He smiled nervously at Willow's mother.
"Good evening, Mrs. Kent. I'm here to pick up."
"Willow, honey, Owen is here."
Her mother called out. Willow took a deep breath and started to make her way down the stairs. Owen heard the footsteps and turned, and his world stopped spinning. All the words he had prepared in his head, polite greetings, awkward jokes, all of it evaporated. His mouth fell open slightly. He could only stare. It was Willow. But this was a Willow who was radiant. The navy blue dress seemed to absorb the light, making her look like the night sky. Her hair, worn down, framed the face he had admired for so long, now unobscured and stunningly beautiful. He was shocked. He was awestruck.
"Willow,"
he said, his voice coming out softer and huskier than he'd intended.
I knew you were beautiful, but wow."
He stepped forward as Willow reached the last step, his eyes never leaving her face. Owen continued, finding his sincere voice again.
You've always been the most beautiful person in any room, but tonight, you're shining."
Willow blushed, her cheeks turning pink. It was the first compliment she had truly believed in her entire life.
"You look great, too, Owen."
Owen laughed nervously, as if just realizing he was also dressed up.
"Oh, right.
He cleared his
Thanks.
throat, then held up the corsage.
This is for you."
With a slightly trembling hand, he took Willow's slender wrist and fastened the lily corsage around it. His touch was incredibly gentle and respectful. For the first time that night, Willow didn't feel like a nerdy girl playing dress-up. She felt truly beautiful, not because of the dress or the makeup, but because of the sincere way Owen was looking at her, as if she was the only person in the world. The short drive to the school felt like a dream to Willow. Owen played soft indie rock on the car stereo, and they chatted lightly about their chemistry project, as if this were just any other night. It helped calm Willow's nerves. But as soon as they parked, reality hit her. From the parking lot, they could hear the loud, thumping bass from the gym hall.
"Ready?"
asked Owen, turning off the engine. Willow stared at the hall, its windows glowing with colorful disco lights. She took a shaky breath.
"Honestly, no."
Owen smiled gently. He got out of the car, walked around, and opened the door for Willow. He held out his hand.
"Don't worry.
He said.
You're with me."
Willow took Owen's warm, steady hand. Together, they walked across the courtyard and toward the wide-open entrance of the gym. As they stepped across the threshold, it felt like entering another world. The sweat-smelling gym hall had been transformed. Deep blue silk fabric draped from the ceiling. and thousands of tiny lights twinkled like an artificial galaxy. The Night Under the Stars theme truly looked magical. And then, the stars started to notice them. It didn't happen all at once. It started as a ripple. A pair of students near the entrance, who were laughing, suddenly fell silent, their eyes fixed on Willow. A girl whispered.
Who is that?
I don't know, but her dress
The
is
chatter
gorgeous.
spread. People near the punch bowl turned their heads. The dancing in the middle of the dance floor slowed, slightly as several pairs of eyes shifted to the entrance.
Wait.
Someone whispered, loud enough to be heard.
No way. Is that Willow Kent?
The name spread like fire. Willow Kent. Everyone was stunned. They stared, no longer whispering but openly pointing. They saw the girl they had always ignored or mocked, now standing there looking like a princess from a fairy tale, on the arm of a proud-looking Owen Miller. Willow tensed. She wanted to turn and run. She instinctively ducked her head, wanting to hide behind her hair. Owen squeezed her hand gently.
Hey,
He whispered.
look at me.
Willow looked up.
You're shining.
Owen repeated, smiling.
Let them see.
Those words gave her courage. Willow took a breath, straightened her back, and lifted her chin. Across the room, near the punch bowl where the school's royalty gathered, Mason King was in the middle of telling a joke to his teammates. His girlfriend, Sasha, was clinging possessively to his arm.
Dude,
One of his friends nudged him.
look who just walked in with Miller.
Mason turned, annoyed that his story was interrupted.
What is it? Just some ner.
His words stopped in his throat. The drink in his hand stopped in midair. His eyes widened. His jaw dropped. He wasn't looking at Weirdlow. He was looking at a stunning girl. He saw the shimmering brown hair under the lights, the green eyes that were now clear and bright, and the blue dress that hugged a figure he had never realized existed. His brain struggled to connect the dots. That was Willow Kent. The girl he had insulted at the lockers? It hit him. He realized how beautiful she was. And in an ego-crushing split second, he realized how stupid he had been. He didn't even hear Sasha next to him, who was now hissing in shock.
No way. What the hell is she wearing? Who does she think she is?
Sasha saw Willow's beauty, but more importantly, she saw where Mason's eyes were fixed, and pure hatred flashed across her face. But Mason didn't care about Sasha. He couldn't take his eyes off Willow. And for the first time in his popular life, Mason King felt something new, regret, and a powerful desire to have what he had just realized he'd thrown away. Owen smiled at everyone's reaction.
How about we get a drink?
He asked Willow quietly, trying to follow through on his plan to take her somewhere calmer. Willow nodded, still a little dazed by all the attention. But before they could take a step, the music changed. The loud thumping of the house music suddenly faded, replaced by a soft, romantic ballad, a classic slow dance.
All right, couples, fill up the dance floor.
The DJ called out. Across the room, Mason King saw this as his chance.
Mason, you want to dance?
Sasha asked, tugging on his arm. But Mason wasn't listening. His eyes were still glued to Willow.
Mason!
Sasha called again, annoyed.
Hold on a second.
Mason muttered. He roughly shrugged Sasha's arm off his shoulder.
Where are you going, Mason?
Sasha yelled, but Mason was already moving, walking straight across the filling dance floor. The crowd seemed to part for him, everyone whispering, watching the drama unfold. Owen saw Mason coming and instinctively took a small step in front of Willow. Protective. Mason stopped right in front of them. He completely ignored Owen as if the guy was just empty air. His eyes were only on Willow.
Wow, Willow?
Mason said. His voice was different. No longer the cold, mocking tone, but a tone of almost genuine awe even if it was driven by ego. He cleared his throat, trying to be charming.
I'm sorry about that other time. I was a jerk.
Willow was stunned. Mason King was apologizing to her?
You look amazing.
Mason continued, flashing the same $1,000,000 smile that Willow used to dream about from afar. He held out his hand.
Let's dance.
This was it. The moment she had written in her notebook. Willow loved Mason, her ridiculous dream was happening. The most popular guy in school in front of everyone was asking her to dance. Willow froze. A part of her, the old, lonely, nerdy Willow, was screaming with excitement inside her head. But as she looked at Mason's outstretched hand, she no longer saw the hand of a prince. Willow remembered. She remembered the hot shame when Sasha held up her notebook. She remembered the laughter in the cafeteria. And most clearly, she remembered Mason's face in the hallway, filled with cold disgust as he whispered the words that had destroyed her.
Look at me, and then look at you. You're not worthy of being next to me? Stop dreaming.
The fantasy shattered into pieces, replaced by bitter reality. This man in front of her wasn't her hero. He was her monster. She glanced to the side. There stood Owen, his face was tense, ready to intervene if Willow gave him the signal, but he remained silent, respecting her right to make her own choice. Owen, the guy who had pleaded with her, who had lied to make her feel needed, who looked at her like she was the brightest star even before this dress. Willow turned back to face Mason. The silence between them was heavy. She had made her choice. Willow stared at Mason's outstretched hand, the same hand that had once slammed the locker next to her head, the hand that represented all the humiliation and heartache. She saw her old dream right before her eyes, Mason King, the prom king, asking her to dance. Then she turned to Owen. Owen stood silently beside her, not saying a word, his eyes full of worrying, not for himself but for Willow. He wasn't asking her to choose him. He was just there, ready to accept whatever her decision was. He was the man who saw her when she was invisible. The choice suddenly became incredibly easy. It wasn't even a choice. A smile, not a shy smile, but a newfound, confident smile spread across Willow's lips. She ignored Mason's outstretched hand completely. Instead, she turned to face Owen and proudly took his arm, linking her hand through the crook of his tuxedo-clad elbow.
Sorry, Mason.
Willow said, her voice clear and strong, carrying in the tense silence. She wasn't even looking at him anymore. Her eyes were fixed on Owen.
I'm dancing with my date.
Mason's face flushed with anger and shock. He was not used to being rejected, especially not by Weirdlow Kent.
Willow,
But Willow had already turned her back completely to Mason. She pulled Owen gently toward the middle of the dance floor.
Come on, Owen. I love this song.
They stepped onto the dance floor, leaving Mason standing alone in the middle of the room, humiliated in front of everyone. Across the room, Sasha stared at her rejected boyfriend with an expression of angry triumph. In the middle of the dance floor, Owen stopped Willow for a moment. Blue and silver lights spun around them.
Are you sure?
Owen whispered, his eyes searching hers sincerely.
You didn't have to do that for me. If you wanted to dance with him.
Willow looked at him, her smile softening. She placed one hand on Owen's shoulder and her other in his grasp.
I didn't do that for you, Owen.
She said softly.
I did it for me.
She looked straight into the eyes of the man who had seen her from the very beginning.
I am absolutely sure.
Owen smiled, a smile of relief and happiness that warmed his entire face. He pulled Willow a little closer and they began to move slowly to the music. They danced. For Willow, it felt like they were the only two people in the room. She no longer heard the whispers. She didn't care about the stares. She no longer saw Mason standing on the sidelines or an angry Sasha. She was too busy looking into the eyes of the man who had shown her that she was worthy. The man who asked her to dance not because she suddenly became beautiful tonight, but because he had always seen her beauty all along. It was her first dance, and it was the right dance. Monday morning after prom felt different. As Willow walked down the main hallway, she still felt the usual nervousness. But this time, she wasn't alone. A warm, steady hand was holding hers. Owen walked beside her, his backpack slung over one shoulder, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Willow no longer kept her head down. She looked straight ahead. She saw Mason and Sasha standing by Mason's locker in their usual spot. Sasha shot Willow a sharp, hateful glare. Mason for the first time just looked away, pretending to be busy with his phone. The humiliation no longer stung. Their power over her was broken.
Morning, Willow.
Morning, Owen.
A few students from chemistry class greeted them.
Morning.
Willow replied, a little surprised to be acknowledged. Owen squeezed her hand gently and Willow smiled at him. They were officially dating now. The weekend had been spent watching movies at Willow's house under the full supervision of her very happy mother and aunt, and walking in the park, talking about everything and nothing. The change in Willow wasn't drastic, but it was real. She still wore comfortable sweaters, but today she had chosen a bright yellow one, not drab gray. She still tied her hair back, but looser, letting a few strands frame her face. She still wore her glasses, but now she smiled more often behind them. She arrived at the library at lunch. The place that was once her hideout and her fantasy was now just her actual study spot. She sat at her favorite table, opened her calculus book, but her mind drifted. She picked up her pen and started to doodle on the back cover of her notebook. Owen found her there 10 minutes later, carrying 2 apple juice boxes.
Look serious.
Owen said, sitting across from her and sliding her the juice. Willow said, smiling. She quickly closed her notebook, her cheeks flushing slightly.
It's nothing. Just formulas.
Owen chuckled. Formulas, huh?
I didn't know calculus involved drawing hearts.
Willow blushed deeper.
You saw?
Just a glance.
Owen said, his smile softening. Gently, he pulled the notebook toward him.
Can I see your new formula?
Willow held her breath for a second, then nodded slowly. Owen opened the back cover. The page was no longer adorned with Mason's name. No more dreams of the unreachable team captain. Instead, in Willow's neat but heartfelt handwriting was a big, silly heart. Willow love Owen. Owen stared at it for a long moment. He didn't laugh mockingly. He didn't look disgusted. He took a pen from his shirt pocket. With great seriousness, he drew a large checkmark next to it, as if he had just completed a problem with the truest answer in the world.
I like this calculation.
Owen said, looking up into Willow's eyes. It seems very accurate. Willow laughed, a free, happy laugh. She grabbed her notebook back, clutching it to her chest. She was no longer dreaming of the most popular guy in school. She was building a new dream with the guy who saw her from the start.